Live from clickorlando.com and WKMG, we're getting results in your neighborhood. Now it's 6:30.
Good evening. This is News 6 at 6:30, getting results. Thank you for joining us live here on News 6 Plus. I'm Matt Austin.
And I'm Ginger Gadsden. Let's get right to your forecast. Meteorologist Jonathan Haggis is here now with news that is music to our ears, Jonathan.
Yeah, guys, look at this. We've been talking about this all night. We talked about last week that we'd have a shot anyway at getting some scattered thunderstorms in the mix. Had one lone one hanging around Marion County last night. Now we have a bunch more. Although, my friends east of I-4, we're still missing out, at least for this time. There's more coming tonight. We'll get into that in a second. Scattered thunderstorms erupting in parts of Marion County. Again, along into the west of I-4, we have a few light showers pushing into Apopka, some heavier stuff around Montverde, sliding into Claremont, Mineola, Ocoee. We are seeing that as well. The lightning, at least most of it now, on the south side of town. Oak Ridge, some light showers around. We're dry in Altamont. Maybe a few stray sprinkles trying to sneak in, but for the most part, again, nothing is heavy as what we're seeing just to the west. We'll take you back closer to I-75, and I'm expecting this area from Bushnell to Webster to really fill in over the next couple of hours. That's where we'll look for the extra activity to slide on through. And again, we're going to be watching that closely as, again, this chunk kind of fills in and then heads on to the south, pretty much taking a trip down I-75. We are going to talk about this and track this a little further and then talk about the chance for more rain for some of us later tonight and tomorrow. Coming up in a few minutes, guys.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. A Sumter County teacher lost her job just days after being hired by the school district. The superintendent says a tip was reported to the abuse hotline last Monday. The teacher, Stephanie Arnott, is now facing charges following child abuse allegations while working at Lake Panisofsky Elementary.
News 6's Emily McLeod was in Sumter County earlier today and spoke with one parent who says her son was in that class and believes he was abused by this teacher.
Sumter County School Superintendent Logan Brown says the child abuse allegations against a special needs teacher here at Lake Panisofsky Elementary School are deeply disturbing. Now, we came by here to speak to parents, and I spoke to one mom who says her son is in that class and claims he was a victim. Former special needs teacher Stephanie Arnott now facing child abuse charges just days after she started her position with the district. Kimberly Smart says her 5-year-old son Matthew is nonverbal autistic and was in the class. She says over the last couple of weeks she began to notice him coming home with bruises on his arm. When did you start to notice this on your son?
A couple weeks when she started, that's when I noticed bruises on his arms and everywhere else. I knew he was being abused, but he couldn't tell me on his words because he's nonverbal. According to an arrest report from the Sumter County Sheriff's Office, on April 21st, a witness reported Arnott grabbing the head of a 5-year-old special needs student with both hands and forcefully turned her head toward a TV twice, causing her to cry. The report says on the same day, a second witness who heard a special needs student, quote, screaming bloody murder from Arnott's classroom. The witness went in and saw the victim wrapped tightly in a blanket, restricting the child's movement. The report goes on to say Arnott was pushing her hand on the victim's face and the child was screaming, "You're hurting me," while Arnott insisted the child was going to take a nap.
Student safety is our top priority, and anybody that violates that public trust will not work in our district. And as far as I'm concerned, we're going to work with law enforcement to make sure that they never work with kids again.
Sumter County School Superintendent Logan Brown says once they found out about the allegations, they immediately removed her from the classroom.
We called her into the office and we're going to release her during her probationary period, and she ultimately chose to resign. At the end of the day, we're here to do what's best for kids, and if you come within our district to hurt a child, we'll make sure that you never work with children again.
In Sumter County, Emily McLeod, News 6.
The White House has been calling for an end to federal funding of public media, primarily PBS and NPR. There are affiliates right here in Central Florida that serve our neighborhood friends and family and have done so since the 80s.
In some cases, they bring life-saving emergency alerts and public safety information. We sent News 6 anchor Eric Von Anken to both of those affiliates to see what would happen if we lost them.
There are two public media stations in town. This is one of them. This is WUCF here on the campus of the University of Central Florida. They are affiliates of both NPR and PBS, which means that they do broadcast some of the national content from PBS and NPR, but they also broadcast lots and lots of local programming.
On 89.9 WUCF Jazz.
Jen Cook is the executive director here at WUCF. And Jen, you know, the White House has said that it believes American taxpayers should not pay for public media because the White House believes it doesn't serve all American taxpayers. Could you tell me how WUCF serves Central Florida taxpayers, the Central Florida public?
Absolutely. So WUCF crosses 9 counties in Central Florida. You don't have to have cable, you don't have to have a satellite system. We are free over the antennas. But besides the broadcasts that you see, it also flows through a mighty river. Besides the shows that you know and love, we do so much in our communities for education. We provide warning alerts for different scenarios of weather emergencies.
How dire is this for you?
For us, it is the most serious funding threat that we have ever had in the history of public media.
This is the other public media station here in Central Florida. It's actually called Central Florida Public Media. You may know it by its former name, WMFE.
Officials are urging communities to try and reduce their water usage.
Judith Smelser is the president and general manager of Central Florida Public Media. And same question for you, Judith. How does your public media serve the public here in Central Florida?
The real value add to Central Florida Public Media in this community is our local service. We have a local newsroom of 12 journalists.
How does Central Florida Public Media ensure that its local reporting is unbiased?
We are incredibly strongly committed to nonpartisan reporting that covers not just both sides, but all sides. And I want to be clear, Central Florida Public Media isn't going anywhere if this funding is cut. But some of the things that you love about Central Florida Public Media might be. That funding is worth the equivalent of about 3 reporters, local reporters.
And I should also tell you, there's a bill moving through Congress right now on top of all of this that would make it illegal to spend taxpayer dollars on the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which funds local PBS and NPR stations. We'll stay on top of that as well. For now, at WUCF, Eric Von Anken, News 6.
So it's an interesting debate, and it seems like this funding, it wouldn't be the death of any of these. As she said, she'd have to cut back on 3 reporters.
Yeah.
I don't think it would impact national NPR quite as much. It's a smaller fraction of their
But just
budget.
the fact that, you know, PBS was something that was a staple in our household, and core memories are made every single day when you watch Sesame Street, and you can talk about it with even your younger nieces and nephews.
I still will watch Bob Ross on YouTube.
Oh my God, right.
If a stressful day comes along,
Happy little
hit me
trees.
with some happy trees. Hey, could everybody's internet eventually come from space? Well, for years now, Elon Musk and SpaceX have been building an internet constellation in low Earth orbit. Now it's Jeff Bezos and Amazon's turn to try to get a piece of the market.
So the second richest person in the world is thousands of satellites behind the first. But as News 6's James Barbero shows us tonight, the competition is on.
And on your right, you can see the fairing deploy from that Starlink satellite stack.
Well, they sure make it look routine now, but 6 years ago, the first Starlink launch for SpaceX was a big deal, as you can tell by all the cheering from the launch teams. Elon Musk making his vision of space internet a reality, and where one business titan has innovated, another is following.
And liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket, carrying the proto-flight mission for Amazon's Project Kuiper.
I was standing in the same spot 2 years ago watching test models of Jeff Bezos' internet satellites launching. Another ULA Atlas V at this same pad is now set to launch Amazon's first operational satellites for Project Kuiper. Bezos' rocket company, Blue Origin, is planning to launch his constellation at some point too. In January at Blue Origin's New Glen factory, I got to listen to who Bezos picked to be CEO, Dave Limp, who used to be an Amazon executive, talk about competing with SpaceX. He didn't sound as cutthroat as maybe you might think.
It's very easy to want to write the headline that says, you know, one person, one company wins. It's like, but this isn't a sporting event. What's likely to happen, and it happens all the time in businesses, is there are multiple winners.
Tonight's launch window opens at 7 o'clock. We'll stream the Kuiper launch on clickorlando.com. Our website is where you can also watch a second launch scheduled tonight. That's a SpaceX Starlink launch. While tonight would be Kuiper's first operational launch, Starlink satellites have now launched 250 times. In Cape Canaveral, Brevard County, I'm James Sparvero, News 6.
All right, 250 versus 0, but it could change.
6,000 satellites to none.
But tonight, here it is. Here's Kuiper sitting right there. It's getting ready to go. We have a launch time. The window opens up at 7 o'clock. So hopefully it will get off the ground.
Yeah, we'll have to check.
And then there'll be a count in the book.
Yes, for sure. Good luck to them. They have some catching up to do. Well, it is Central Florida's #1 news websites. All the competitors have some catching up to do to this thing, too. ClickOrlando.com. Let's check out what's trending tonight. The toilet seats in the water off Plantation Key in Isla Mirada are only for decoration. Whether in the water or fixed to poles, they mark a path to a shortcut to Founders Park. Vernon Lamp carved the waterway in the 50s.
Yeah, in 1960, when Hurricane Dada struck the Keys, leaving a lot of damage. But when Lamp checked out the poles after the storm, a toilet seat was left hanging from one of them. He took that seat home, cleaned and painted it, and then he brought it back. In the decades to follow, the trend caught on with other locals who decorated their own toilet seats to place along the cut. Stay classy, Florida.
Not my favorite Florida tradition.
I don't like it at all, but you know, we stand out, of course, again.
For all the right reasons. Here are some of the other trending stories right now over at Click Orlando. A Southwest Airlines passenger needed one of those toilet seats. It's a headline that says it all. Passenger stripping naked.
Don't say that word.
And then they, number 2'd on the plane seat. That was the best word I could think of. The plane had to be taken out of service when it landed in Chicago to be cleaned. What would you do if you were sitting next to that on a plane?
I would use the emergency slide.
Right.
And Palm Bay and Sanford are top 9 Florida cities to retire with a monthly budget of $2,000. Whether you like the ocean views or the small town feel of Sanford, ClickOrlando.com crunches the numbers for you. Thank you so much for skipping over
I don't know where
number.
you're going to live in Sanford for $2,000 a month these days. That would not be easy to find, but apparently it's on a list, so it has to be true. Before the days of Disney and golf courses, there were plenty of tourist destinations in Central Florida.
Yeah, these lost attractions, detailed in a new book, point out 3 ways our area showed off its natural beauty. But first, pressing pause on retirement and pressing play on supporting adult children. The new reality facing U.S. families trying to help their kids make ends meet.
You're watching News 6 at 6:30 live on News 6 Plus. We're covering Lake Nona, Titusville, and all of Central Florida. We'll be right back.
Brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
Your Monday evening traffic alert. Listen up. We might have some weather coming through, but either way, we are scheduled to see some lane closures along the Florida Turnpike on the north end as you approach US 27. So be careful there. And then possible lane closures tonight along I-4 and World Drive, causing some issues, but no major shutdowns. I'm Trooper Steve with the News 6 traffic alert. Drive safely, and I'll catch you in the morning.
Empty nesters are finding their nests look pretty full these days. More and more young adults are opening accounts at the bank of mom and dad.
To the tune of 18 grand per year, parents are often sacrificing their own retirement. I spoke with a financial strategist who says it's a growing trend and a sign of the times.
I think it really solely rests on how the economy has changed.
Jude Wilson, a certified wealth strategist with Centris Financial, says more and more of his clients are coming to him with the same concern.
I need to support my son or my daughter. They're having a hard time finding a job. Where can I access funds to give them some support?
Wilson says for a lot of families, their retirement fund is turning into their kids' emergency fund.
People who are your average everyday people, the teachers, the police officers, they really don't have that extra to spare. And so it's doing more damage to them in their future, but they've kind of postponed that because the immediate need is, I want to make sure that my son or my daughter is okay now.
In fact, a Savings.com survey of roughly 1,000 U.S. adults found working parents contribute 2 times more to their children than to their own retirement accounts.
So this is dramatically impacting their, financial future, their nest egg.
Beth Klung-Payabal is an analytics manager with Savings.com. Their survey shows half of all parents with adult children provide regular financial support, and only about a third plan to cut off that support in the next 2 years.
I think they just don't know how to cut the strings.
Wilson says the key is to create a timetable.
There has to be a beginning and an end. So create a contract with your adult child. It may not be legally binding, but at least psychologically, it gives them the sense that this is not an indefinite support.
Wilson also says finding an end date is especially important for parents who are already retired.
If we don't take care of this problem, you will have to either find an alternative source to supplement your retirement, and that might be going back to work, which nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah. Worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to have to go back to work to then support your kid. Only 17% of parents on survey or Savings.com said that they would be willing to come out of retirement to support their adult children. How are there 17% of people who would do that? The full study, if you want to check it out, some tips for parents are at clickorlando.com. I had a contract.
Don't judge these parents.
I had a contract with my dad too. If you come back and you try to live in this house
again,
again,
knuckle sandwich.
I'm going to break your jaw.
No, I get it, because everyone's situation is different. If you have a child who there's something tragic that happens, of course
Absolutely,
you're going to help,
yes.
right?
But that's not what he's talking about.
No, it's not.
In a lot of these
as soon as I was old enough to work at Burger King and get my check, $50 of it went to the house.
Better contribute.
We ate. So it was good.
And she doesn't live at home anymore, so it's good.
Thank goodness, I just moved out last week. All right, here's a live look at our Launch Credit Union camera at Port Canaveral now. What a beautiful sight, because there were days we did not see a single cloud in the sky. Started seeing them build over the weekend. We took a nice Sunday drive, and I was like, this is gonna produce something. And you said it, meteorologist Jonathan Kegas joins us now. You said last week that our best chances would be in the coming days this week.
Yeah, so we're gonna continue to build that, and it's good on you to notice that. It's that because of high pressure, remember off the Carolina coast, we were talking like that, it was gonna feed in some of that
Former
moisture
weather
from the
person
Atlantic.
here, Jonathan.
Love
You
it.
can tell she's
Love
stretching
it.
those muscles.
That's fantastic, and we saw those clouds build, as you mentioned, and now they are producing some rain for some of us. I know if you're watching from Brevard, Volusia, Flagler, East Orange, East Seminole, kind of like, what are you talking about? The clouds at least are dark, no rain coming in our direction. Most of this is moving from north to south. We had the East Coast sea breeze fire up with that breeze off the Atlantic, and it's all pinned mainly west of Orlando. Some lightning south of Apopka, closing in on Winter Garden, down and around Orlando. Another storm just popping up right around Celebration and Four Corners. All of the active stuff really towards I-75. We've been showing you future radar all night. Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos earlier this morning was talking about the best opportunity for rain today going to be along into the west of I-4 and then right along I-75, where we would be kind of out of luck closer to I-95. I think we'll see a few downpours tonight, but by and large, future radar showing us that we will see things fill back in throughout most of Sumter County. So Lake Panasoffkee into Bushnell, Nobleton, we have some rain coming down the pipeline. Scattered downpours around the I-4 corridor will continue for the next couple of hours. Now, overnight, look at this. I think this is a little overdone by the model here, but nonetheless, I do think we will see a few downpours try to sneak back in as we get through the 2, 3, 4 o'clock hour, and then maybe firing up a few more. Here's I-95 again, 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, and then that gradually tries to march inland and then closer to I-75, with that breeze continuing to be out of the east off of the Atlantic Ocean again tomorrow. Here is a live look in Daytona Beach. We need the rain in Volusia County as well, New Smyrna Beach. I know we're dry. We're dry in Daytona, 78. The breeze at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. A few of those extra clouds in the sky as well. We're at 79 in Leesburg, 85 in Bushnell, Groveland. Good evening. We are at 85 as we watch those storms come in from our north. Tomorrow morning, rain chances at 20% right along the I-95 corridor. We're going to start things off around 70. Now here's a look at tomorrow afternoon.
Your forecast is sponsored by the Florida Lottery.
A little cooler tomorrow, all relative back to the middle 80s, closer to where we should be at this time of the year, maybe even a notch or two below. Rain chances at about 20% again through the latter stages of the morning into the early afternoon. Drying out though on Wednesday into Thursday, right around 90 degrees on Friday again, staying back to the upper 80s on Saturday and Sunday. A little breezy, guys, on Monday.
All right, that looks nice though, Jonathan. Thank you. Keep on streaming. We'll be right back.
I'm News 6 anchor Justin Mormon. And I'm Trooper Steve, traffic safety expert. Coming up in the morning, a well-known local home about to unveil a major makeover.
Yeah, the work that's been underway for Mount Dora's Van Gogh House and how organizers hope that it will also get results for autism awareness at the same time.
Plus, your weather and traffic every 10 minutes. Join us for News 6 Mornings, starting at 5.
Well, Florida's theme parks and attractions have evolved over the years and multiplied, of course. Some of the first attractions focused on history, culture, and natural wonders.
I talked to an expert in state history about the attractions that paved the way to making Florida a top state for tourism, and Bridget Ellison has that story.
Florida must lead the nation in lost attractions.
In one of his latest books, Lost Attractions of Florida,
That didn't make it either.
Dr. Jim Clark documents some of the state's first tourist attractions.
The big attraction in Orlando was a tree called the Senator out in Seminole County. People would come from hundreds of miles away to see this giant tree, and that was tourism in Orlando.
Big Tree Park in Longwood opened in 1927 with the Senator as the main attraction. Touted as the largest and oldest bald cypress in the world, the Senator was estimated to be 3,500 years old. In 2012, what was left of the iconic tree burned down as the result of arson. Today, this is all that's left.
And many of the original attractions in Florida focused on its natural beauty, such as trees and springs.
But wildlife was also a big draw.
The sunken gardens, so many gardens.
Whether it was bears and ostriches.
Ostrich races used to be big in Florida. Wow. Did you know you can ride an ostrich?
I don't think I'd want to.
I don't either.
Or alligators.
Gators, there's the secret. There just aren't a lot of gators in New York. And so that's the attraction, and it's live animals, it's live people, and so you get to get up close and see the alligators.
I want to say just a word about the site of our Florida project.
Then in the 1960s, Clark says Disney set off a surge of new Central Florida attractions.
And the thinking was people would spend 1 or 2 or 3 days at the Magic Kingdom and then have another 4 or 5 days of vacation. So let's build a park for that time.
While many of the first attractions are now closed, all is not lost. We're here at Cypress Gardens, which is now part of Legoland Florida in Winter Haven. And coming up next week, I'll take a look back at some of the parks and attractions of days gone by. Bridget Ellison, News 6.
I learned a lot about the attractions. Can you imagine gathering up the kids to go see a tree? I would love
the biggest
yarn. Back before kids had iPads, stuff like that was really cool. Hey, thanks for watching News 6 at 6:30. It's not anymore. Stream News 6 online anytime on your News 6 Plus Smart TV app.
Let's all go see a ball of twine.
Bye. Man, those trips out.